Vladimir Putin promised his people absolute immunity. He told them Russia was an impregnable fortress, a place where the chaos of the West could not touch them. He sold a vision of unshakable stability protected by an iron fist. But take a look at Moscow today. That promise has not just been broken, it has been completely shattered. The gap between the Kremlin's grand speeches and the scary reality on the ground is getting wider by the second. Picture this: you are at the airport, maybe hoping to get home after a long trip, but instead of boarding calls, all you see is a sea of red on the departure board. Cancelled, delayed, diverted. Tens of thousands of exhausted people are stranded in terminals, sitting on their suitcases, kids crying, with nowhere to go. And this is not just bad weather. On February 22nd, Ukraine launched a massive drone attack right at the heart of Russia. 24 drones did not just target military sites, they went for Russia's gateways to the world. Major airports like Nikovo, Domodedovo, and Sheremetyevo were paralyzed. We are talking about the country's economic lifelines here. When these airports shut down for hours, it is not just about you missing your flight. It means cargo planes cannot land. Supply chains snap. In January alone, over 200 flights were delayed in a single day. That is the cost of war showing up on the doorstep of ordinary citizens. Now, you might be wondering, wait a minute, does Russia not have the best air defense in the world? What happened to that iron shield? Well, military analysts are pointing out a huge, almost embarrassing flaw. The billion-dollar S-400 systems protecting Moscow were built to fight a completely different war. They are designed to hunt down high-flying NATO jets or supersonic missiles. Their radars are looking up at the upper layers of the atmosphere. But Ukraine is not sending high-tech jets. They are sending kamikaze drones made of plywood, carbon fiber, or even basic plastic. These things fly incredibly low and slow. To a massive radar like the S-400, a drone like that looks just like a flock of birds or some background static. It does not even register as a threat until it is too late. It is like trying to swat a mosquito with a sledgehammer. And it gets worse for the defense system. Russia has been jamming GPS signals around Moscow like crazy to confuse these drones. But the Ukrainians adapt. They are using drones that do not need satellites to know where they are. These drones have preloaded maps of the terrain. They use their own cameras to read the ground, following riverbeds and highways just like a pilot would. You can cut the signal, but the drone keeps flying because it knows exactly where it is. It is not just the skies either. We are seeing police cars blowing up in broad daylight. Hundreds of kilometers away in Belgorod, entire neighborhoods are plunged into pitch blackness, transformers exploding, and radiators freezing over in the dead of winter. This is the new reality. The front lines have expanded, and the so-called impregnable fortress is looking more fragile than ever. The war is not just on TV anymore. For many Russians, it is right outside their window. You might think that moving air defense systems to the front lines is a smart tactical move, but for Moscow, it has turned into a nightmare. They stripped away the capital's protection, taking vital systems like the Panzer and Tor, and shipping them off to Crimea or the heat of the battle in Ukraine. The result? That famous unbreakable shield is now full of holes. It is honestly shocking that a simple swarm of just 20 drones could slip past those massive radar networks and paralyze the entire civil aviation of the country for hours. It is like taking the lock off your front door to secure the back gate, leaving the main entrance wide open. But here is where it gets really chilling. The panic in Moscow is not just coming from the sky. On February 24th, the streets of the capital were shaken by something much more personal. We have all seen the footage circulating on Telegram. A police car patrolling a train station just blows up, and the details are like something out of a spy movie. A man in black, totally calm, plants an explosive, walks to a safe distance, and films it. He films it like he is making a TikTok video, then just vanishes. Now, ask yourself this: how does that happen in Moscow? We are talking about a city with one of the most intense surveillance networks on the planet. Facial recognition is everywhere. There are tens of thousands of FSB agents and troops from Rosgvardia, Putin's private army, patrolling the street. Yet, this guy plants a bomb, kills a police lieutenant, injures another, and waves goodbye without anyone stopping him. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Why are these elite security forces so blind when it matters most? The answer is actually pretty simple and tragic. The entire system Putin built was designed to watch the wrong people. For years, the FSB and Rosgvardia have been trained to crush internal dissent, not to stop professional saboteurs. They are experts at tackling a grandmother holding a sign in a square or tracking down a student who posted a blog from their bedroom. That is their muscle memory. But when they are up against a professional who uses asymmetric warfare tactics, the system freezes. It simply does not know how to react. Plus, think about the drain on ground resources. The best of the best, the top tactical teams and intelligence units, have been ground down over 3 years of fighting in Ukraine. The elite shield that was supposed to protect the capital is gone. What is left behind are officers chosen for loyalty, not skill, sitting in a tired bureaucracy. So, while the cameras are great at spotting a political rival, a guy in black with a bomb can walk right past them. If the Kremlin cannot even protect its own police in the city center, regular people are starting to ask, how can they possibly protect me? While Moscow deals with fear, the situation in the border regions has gone full apocalypse. Look at Belgorod. This city is bearing the brunt of the war's proximity. 79 drones and ballistic missiles hit the region overnight. Imagine waking up to your house shaking from explosions. But it is not just the noise. The governor, Vyacheslav Gladkov, confirmed that critical infrastructure is wrecked. We are talking about power outages, water shortages, and no heat in homes while it is freezing outside. It is a humanitarian disaster affecting nearly 1 million people. And finally, let's talk about the money, because that is where the pain is really being felt by the people at the top. Closing Moscow's airports for a few hours might sound like a minor inconvenience, but it is bleeding the economy dry. These airports are the arteries of the nation. Every time they shut down, cargo stops, supply chains break, and airlines lose millions of rubles instantly. In past crises, airlines lost around 20 billion rubles in just 2 days. Now, add in the fact that the government is planning to ban Telegram by April 1, 2026. That is not just censorship. That is a desperate move to stop the panic from spreading as the economy and the oligarchy's patience starts to crumble. You know the situation is critical when even the people paid to cheer for you suddenly stop clapping. That is exactly what is happening in Russia right now. For years, the Kremlin built digital walls to keep foreign influence out, but the speed at which things are unraveling today is unprecedented. We are seeing reports that even the most loyal system defenders are going off script. Think about the famous Z bloggers and military correspondents. These are people with millions of followers who have been the government's loudest supporters since the war began. But now, they are singing a very different song. They are openly admitting that the official daily briefings have nothing to do with reality. They are saying that the failures on the front lines are too big to hide anymore. When the state's own propaganda machine starts attacking the state, you know the narrative has collapsed. So what does this tell us? Has the regime decided to put society under a total digital quarantine? Or is this crackdown just the preparation for something much darker? To understand this, we have to look at the global map in early 2026. For a long time, Putin sold himself as the guy who rewrote the rules of international politics. But today, the spotlight has shifted, with figures like Donald Trump back in the mix and new crises erupting in the Asia-Pacific. Putin is looking less like a global disruptor and more like a leader stuck in a stalemate. And in the world of dictatorships, a stalemate is political suicide. Putin has two main options to break this deadlock, and both are dangerous. Option 1 is terrifying. Expand the war. This would mean triggering a direct conflict with NATO through the Baltic states like Estonia, Latvia, or Lithuania. That brings the world to the edge of World War III. But option 2 is the one that is truly haunting the Russian people right now. A massive, brutal new wave of mobilization. We are talking about dragging hundreds of thousands of men, factory workers, teachers, students, into the army to try and fix the numbers problem with human waves, and the people can feel it coming. Listen to what a 21-year-old medical student posted on a forum recently. He has 18 months left in his degree. He said, "I know if mobilization starts, they will come for me, but I will choose my life. I will hide in my dacha, or I will flee the country. This is not a place where I can build a family." That is not just one scared kid. That is the voice of an entire generation looking for the exit. If you want to see how deep the crisis really goes, forget the complex economic data and look at the street. Look at the shawarma index. Seriously, shawarma used to be the affordable, fresh street food everyone loved. Now, vendors are forced to use low-quality frozen meat and heat it up in microwaves just to keep costs down. Why? Because ordinary people have become so poor that they can't afford the real thing anymore. When a country's economy gets to the point where even the cheapest street food loses its quality, you are sitting on a powder keg of social unrest. This fear of unrest is exactly why the Kremlin is rushing to ban Telegram by April 1, 2026. It is what analysts call the Iran syndrome. They saw how protests in Iran exploded without a single leader, organized entirely through apps. They know that even with a massive police force, a hungry and tired population can turn dangerous very quickly. They are terrified that the people will realize their collective strength. Why shut down an app that has been running for 12 years? Because when a leader has been in power for 26 years, fears, they stop trying to be loved and focus entirely on control. Cutting off the information flow is about stopping people from hearing each other before that next big mobilization order drop. But here is the thing, the biggest crack in the system might not come from the protesters. It might come from the people who were given weapons and sent to die. That is the spark that keeps the Kremlin awake at night. What do you think? Is this the beginning of the end for the regime? Let me know your thoughts in the comment. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss our next deep dive.